Hi there. I'm a little behind. It was showtime and I missed the time. I was doing some other stuff. Doing some other stuff. Hey, do you remember the song? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Well, the question of the day is I'm happy. Why do I feel stressed? Well, we're going to answer that question in just a few minutes. Hi there. I'm Marcyline Bailey, and I help overwhelmed super women to rejuvenate their minds, bodies, souls, and spirits so that they can feel rested, refreshed, and relaxed so that they can give their families and their work their all. Today, we're talking about mood, or I should say, we're continuing our conversation about mood and stress. How does our mood affect our stress? Well, as we've talked before, mood has a great impact on the stress levels that we feel. But the question of the day really is if I'm happy, which is a mood, why do I feel stressed? So, how is it that I can have a positive mood and still feel stressed? So, we're going to be talking about that today. Now, I want to share that my internet is a little wonky today. I don't know what's going on, but it cuts in and it cuts out. So, I'm going to try to keep track of this and at the point where, if it gets really, like really bad, hopefully it won't, fingers crossed. But if it gets really bad, what I'll do is I'll just record the whole thing all over so you can get all of the information because I think this is going to be helpful. So let's get to our talk. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and like I've done before in the past, so just bear with me. There we go, sharing the screen. Hopefully you will see that. I'm going to do one little thing here. Boom data. Okay. I just took that overlay off so you could see. Um, and let me do one more thing for myself. Let's see. I'm hoping I can do this. Right here. Gotta get to the right place. Okay, there we go. So this picture, I chose this picture because this is clearly a picture of somebody who has just gotten a very nice surprise, right? She looks excited, she looks happy and thrilled. Whatever is on her phone, it's like making her really, really happy. She's surprised. She's surprised. I wonder what happened. Maybe she got a surprise deposit into her bank account. Somebody cash apped or Venmoed some a large sum of money to her, and she is more than thrilled. Or maybe she got an email offering her a job. Who knows? Or maybe she got a text from a friend she hasn't seen in a long time, and she's happy because her friend is going to visit her. But, and yes, there is a but, there's a little tinge of something in her eyes. She's surprised, but she has her hand on her jaw, and it's like, oh my gosh, now what? What's next? And that's what we're going to talk about. What's next? Well, how is it that you can feel happy and still feel stressed? One of the things that we need to remember is that stress is a physical response to a change or to a trauma, right? Something has occurred that causes us to experience a physical change or a physical response in our bodies. So often when we talk about stress, we talk about it like it's a condition. I'm stressed. Like you have a sore throat or your sinuses are acting up. But stress is a response. It's a response to an unspecified stimulus. It could be anything. It could be getting a message that someone Venmoed you or Cash Apped you $5,000. It could be a response to having to slam on your brakes to prevent yourself from hitting a squirrel that darts into the street. It could also be a response to um, not being able to start your car in the morning. It is a response to a stimulus that hasn't been specified, that there's no specific thing that causes it other than it's a change or it is some type of event that triggers it. This picture, this graphic is from Let's Talk Science, the Let's Talk Science website. And it basically shows how, in a very simplified way, what happens. Here you see the brain. The brain is at the top. Let me see if I can point to that. The brain is at the top. And all of a sudden, there is some stimulus that we see. It could be something that we see, we taste, we hear, we smell, or we touch, right? There is some signal that goes to our brain that causes the brain to say, oh, something's happening and we have to get prepared. And we need to get prepared to either run or fight to protect ourselves. So the brain triggers the hypothalamus, the adrenal. It's really the adrenal system. And so I'll just put it that way. The brain triggers, well, let me make it broader, the sympathetic nervous system. And the adrenal system, the hypothalamus, the adrenal system is a part of the sympathetic nervous system. So what happens is there's a stimuli, your brain says, oh, I've got to prepare the body to do something. And it sends signals to your adrenal glands. Well, the adrenal glands and some other parts of the sympathetic nervous system, but your adrenal glands start to secrete adrenaline and cortisol. And we've heard of adrenaline, right? Adrenaline is a hormone that causes women, and when they've experienced, or anybody, when you've experienced a traumatic experience, it causes you to be super strong. So we've talked about an adrenaline rush where people are super strong and they're fast and there's a lot going on with them. That's what that is. The body is secreting, or the adrenal glands are secreting adrenaline. Cortisol is another hormone that is secreted, and it also prepares us to get moving, right? And these two work in concert. But you've heard of women lifting cars off of their children, if their child has been hit by a car. You've heard of women, 90-pound women carrying 200-pound men down flights of stairs or, out of the woods after an accident. Adrenaline and cortisol makes us super strong, super fast, and it causes major changes in our bodies. And this is what you see here. Your your lungs, um, are changed. The bronchial tubes are changed, right? Bronchioles. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but they change and they dilate. They become wider. That's so you can get more air, more oxygen into your body. Your liver starts to convert um, glycogen to glucose. And glucose is sugar, right? Glucose gives you energy. Glucose gets you moving quickly. Your digestive system, basically, as this graphic shows, it goes to sleep. So it stops work. It doesn't stop working, but the activity in your digestive system decreases to the bare minimum. That's one of the reasons when the stress response is operating, that's one of the reasons your stomach gets queasy, right? Some people vomit. Some people feel nauseous. Some people just feel butterflies in their stomach. But it happens instantaneously. It's like all of a sudden it stops. The other thing that happens is your blood pressure goes up, right? Your blood pressure increases tremendously and your heart rate increases. Oftentimes you'll feel your heart pounding heavily and fast and very fast. So this gives just a basic overview of what happens when the stress response kicks in. I want to emphasize to you that it doesn't matter if there's a major stimuli that's causing the stress response or a minor stimuli. So what do I mean by that? This is what I mean. You may see a mouse run across your floor. That's going to startle you, maybe, unless it's your pet mouse. But it's going to may startle you and you're going to jump. Your heart starts beating faster and you're in that fight or flight mode. The stress response has kicked in instantaneously. Also, you may be hiking and you see a bear and that bear is coming after you. That's also going to initiate the stress response as well. So it could be a small thing like a mouse, or it could be a big thing like a bear. Those are time limited events. The same thing occurs, the stress response kicks in when you have something else occur, like you may burn yourself, right? You're cooking on your stove and you may accidentally touch the hot stove and you burn yourself. Well, the feeling or the sensation from that burn is long lasting. And while it is lasting, as long as it lasts, that stress response is in its working. So the duration of a stimulus will also keep the stress response moving, kicking in, working. So it's not just the stimuli that initiates the stress response, it's the duration that also causes the stress response to continue. So we're talking about the stress response is a physical. We're sharing that the stress response is a physical response. Stress is a physical response. And when it is triggered, we know it as fight or flight. And here are some of the reactions that occur. You're going to have an increased blood flow to the brain. Aha, what does that mean? Your blood pressure goes up. You also have additional production of hormones and neurotransmitters like epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine. And that's to help you to think better, and I shouldn't say it helps you to think better. It helps you to um, see things and know how to react. How's that? Your pupils dilate so that you can't see, your peripheral vision is reduced, but you can see sharper in front of you. Your heart, of course, beats faster and harder. Your breathing gets faster and deeper. Also, the blood flow to your large muscle groups increase. We've talked about your adrenal glands and how they secrete cortisol as well as adrenaline. That's so you have more energy, right? Your digestive system slows down, and we've talked about your blood pressure increasing. So, what happens as a result of that? You're more alert. You have great strength, at least in the short term. That's why women can lift those cars off without thinking about it. They just do it. Also, when it says you have an increased ability to handle stress, what it's talking about is your body is geared to handle what the changes that occur in your body in the short term. Now, we also know that when we experience the stress response over a longer period of time, it causes damage to the body. The other reactions are you have a greater ability to focus. Remember, I said you can see things and make quicker decisions about how to act or react. There's more oxygen going to your brain. Your breathing is fast, it's deeper. Your senses are hyper aware. So not only do you have a heightened sense of smell, your eyesight is better, it's sharper, it's clear, and your body and mind are on hyper alert. So there are major changes that occur when the stress response is initiated. Now, the stress response is in place for it's designed, or it's yes, it's designed to our bodies. It is only there for short term. So when we're talking about the stress response and I'm happy, why do I feel stressed? It's because there are different types of stressors which cause different types of stress. So let's talk about those different types of stressors. Now, when you're happy, generally it's because you're something amazing has just happened. I talked about the young lady on our slide who got probably got a notification that someone cash apped her a large sum of money, right? She's surprised about it and she's happy. Another positive event would be a surprise party. You come home and your friends and family jump out and they say surprise, and they're there to celebrate you, to celebrate your life, to celebrate your birthday, or just to celebrate you. You might have a visit from someone you care about or someone you've not seen in a long time, and it's a surprise. So those are very positive. That's a positive occurrence or a positive event that will increase your stress level because you're surprised. Well, what about news of a positive situation? You're told that you're getting a raise, or you're told that congratulations, you're pregnant, especially if you've been trying to become pregnant, or you got the letter that you've been waiting for saying that you were accepted to the college or university of your choice. Though those are situations that are very positive if that's what you want, right? So, or you're buying a house and you were told that your loan was approved. So, or you saw a house that you really wanted, you put a bid on it, and your bid was accepted. Those are stressors that are positive and in turn cause a stress response that's positive. And as you see in this slide, the stress response that's positive basically, or positive events that create a stress response basically is you get the good news and you're at the peak here, and then you start coming down. That stress response starts reversing itself. The parasympathetic nervous system kicks in and it starts reversing itself. But you get good news and then it starts reversing. So, what is this part of the slide talking about? Tolerable. Well, there are also positive events that are tolerable. And I do see that it's talking in the example of about the loss of a loved one or a broken bone, but there are also stressors that are major, but and somewhat have an extended duration but limited duration. And these are the examples that I'll share. Let's say, for example, that you're planning your wedding. Over the course of a year or two, you're planning a wedding and that increases your stress level to a high point, and it eventually comes down once the wedding occurs, right? Let's say that you got news that you were pregnant after trying to become or desiring to become pregnant. So you are pregnant, that also increases your stress level. And make no mistake, being pregnant, your stress level is fairly elevated. Want to make sure that the pregnancy goes well, right? So a pregnancy can be a response that is extended. Your stress response is extended for at least 9 months. And then guess what? It never quits, because once that baby's born, for the okay, I'm just kidding. Then you start being concerned about your children, her or him. Also, another tolerable form of stress would be that extends over a period of time would be that you have a new job. And so the stress is extended, or the stress response is extended, because you're spending time, you're having to learn the job, you're having to learn your position and the work that you're supposed to do. Or you get a job at a new company. So you're having to learn the new company, get to know the people who work there, have them get to know you, in addition to learning the job itself. So the stress response is extended. But all of those things are positive events, things that will make you happy, occurrences that will make you happy, but they also can contribute to the stress that you experience. So why is this important? It's important to know that occurrences or events that make you happy or make you excited or make you joyful can also trigger the stress response in the same way that occurrences or events that cause you to be sad or angry or upset. And the reason this is important to know is because anytime the stress response is initiated or anytime the stress response is triggered, it causes us to expend energy. And whenever we expend energy, we have to be aware that we need to replace the energy that we expend. The more energy that we expend, the more we need to be aware of it so that we can replace it. So that's why it's important to recognize that happy events, happiness, things that make us happy, happy occurrences, happy news, can also cause us to experience the stress response, because that in turn will cause us to expend energy. The more stress that we experience, meaning the longer the duration of the stress, the greater the event or the occurrence in our lives, will cause us to expend more energy. So and I'm using the candle because I always use a candle to illustrate that when the wax is gone, we're burned out, right? Because the wax is where the candle gets the energy to give off light and heat. So I'm wanting to illustrate that even happy occasions or happy events will make us um, in many instances, or in some instances, the event or the occasion has caused us to experience the stress response. So that was a mouthful, wasn't it? So the other thing that I want to also share with you is that when we have, and this is a slide that's from the CRHCF organization, that when there's a provocation or a stimulus, that we have a thought, and that thought could be an immediate thought or an automatic thought about that event or that stimulus. And that in turn, what we think about it can initiate the stress response. So remember when I talked about um, the wedding. You're planning a wedding, and how planning the wedding over the course of a year or the duration of planning can cause the stress response to be extended. Your thoughts about the planning or your thoughts related to your wedding plans can also cause your stress response to increase. So you can have an event that looks like this. So let's say that you start here and you're planning your wedding and it's stressful. So something happens during the wedding plans and it sends your stress level up. That event is taken care of and you start making a slow recovery, or it starts it starts reversing itself. But you never quite get to your baseline where you started, because another upsetting event occurred. So that sends you up again. But this time, the stress response is more intense because you never got back to your baseline. And then it starts reversing itself again until another event occurs and it sends your stress level up even higher. Well, this slide from jbpartners.com illustrates how a happy event or a happy occasion will cause your stress level to cycle in an unhealthy manner because you never recovered to the place where you started, your stress baseline. What we want to do, however, we want to have a healthy recovery. And that's what this slide shows. This slide shows how an happy occasion, you're getting married and you're planning your wedding, and your stress level goes up. Taking the proper steps to bring your stress level back to your baseline will help you get through the planning of your happy event in a way that is healthier. Stress level goes up, it comes down. Stress level goes up, it comes down. Stress level goes up, it comes down. Always comes back to the baseline. So this is why our stress levels, and I'm going to come back to you in just a second. Here I am. Hey. I had to take a seat. My feet were getting tired. This is why when we are experiencing happy events, that it can contribute to our stress level. That's what we want to be aware of. And we need to be aware of it because when we are stressed or we're experiencing stress, it causes us to expend energy, and we need to replace that energy so that we do not get burned out. Right? Right. That's it. So I'm going to watch this to make sure that there are no blank spots so that if I need to re-record it, I will do that. Otherwise, watch the replay. And for those of you who always catch the replay, hey, Alice Frazier, it's good to see you. My classmate from Northwestern University, who is a powerhouse in her own right. She's a consultant and a powerhouse. She's a superwoman. We want to make sure that for those of you who are watching the replay, please leave a comment. Let me know what's happening in your lives. Let me know what you think about stress talk, because we want to make sure that you have what you need so that you're not burning out and you can refresh, rejuvenate, renew, all of those REs, those REs, in order to give yourself what you need so you can give your family what they need. I'm Marcyline Bailey. I'm glad you joined me. I'll see you next time. All right.